TheJamies.net.
Sydney, Nova Scotia is a city located on Canada's Cape Breton Island that's best known for its Celtic cultural influence and scenic harborfront. During our visit to Sydney, aboard the Majestic Princess, we spent about 5 hours exploring the cruise terminal and nearby downtown area. In this video, we'll share information about the Sydney Cruise Terminal area, what you can expect to see and do within walking distance, and a few spots we visited for snacks and drinks. Just a quick note that if you enjoy this video, please give us a thumbs up or leave a comment. It really helps our channel. And consider subscribing so you get alerted when we add new videos. The Sydney Cruise Terminal area was a relatively compact, easy-to-navigate hub with a mix of shops, tour, and transportation options, and a few quick photo spots. Signage pointed visitors toward the main cruise pavilion and terminal area, the Big Fiddle Market, and the pickup areas for bus, private, and taxi tours. A sidewalk sign displayed taxi tour prices for several popular Cape Breton Island destinations, with prices listed per vehicle. The terminal area was home to a couple of popular photo stops, including the Big Fiddle. A sign explained its significance as a tribute to Cape Breton's Celtic and folk music traditions, especially the island's rich fiddling culture that came with Scottish immigration. There was also a giant red Adirondack chair that was sponsored by a local furniture store. The Big Fiddle Market had an outdoor section with multiple kiosks selling souvenirs and handmade items, along with an indoor section where additional vendors were set up. Inside the cruise terminal pavilion, there was a large Cape Breton-themed mural that worked well as a photo backdrop. Public restrooms and an ATM were also available inside. In addition to the Flavor on the Water restaurant, the pavilion was home to the Cape Breton Fudge Company. The shop had locally made fudge bites available for $3 Canadian, or just over $2 US. They also had full-size fudge bars available. We purchased some of the fudge bites when we returned from our day in port, and they were a great way to finish the day. Leaving the cruise terminal area, we passed by the A Land of Our Own statue, which was designed to commemorate immigration to Cape Breton and the hope of starting over in a new place. From the cruise terminal, we turned left and walked a very short distance along Esplanade to St. Patrick's Church and Museum at the intersection with York Street. The church was built in the late 1820s and is Cape Breton's oldest still-standing Roman Catholic church. The current restored building operates as a small museum focused on local Sydney and Cape Breton history. Continuing northwest along Esplanade, we stopped at the Northern Friends Immigration Monument. The monument commemorates the ship Northern Friends, which arrived in Sydney Harbor in 1802, bringing hundreds of settlers from Scotland. From the monument, we followed Amelia Street northeast to the Jost Heritage House, a late 1700s home. Halifax merchant Thomas Jost purchased the house in 1836, and it was owned by his descendants for over 130 years. The home is now a museum that illustrates how living in Sydney evolved over the centuries, with several exhibits tied to local Cape Breton history. Admission for the museum was $4 Canadian or $4 US. In addition to the museum's regular hours, they also had special opening hours when cruise ships were in port. We paid the nominal fee to enter the museum and thoroughly enjoyed the experience. The visit included a guided tour with several employees dressed in period clothing, helping to bring the house and time period to life. The house was organized as a series of period rooms and themed displays. The basement level featured a restored 18th century kitchen space centered around a cooking fireplace. And the ground floor was arranged with Victorian-era rooms like a parlor, dining room, and bedroom, along with other historical displays. Upstairs, there were additional exhibit rooms to browse at our own pace, including rooms that focused on the Jost family and local maritime themes. From the outside, it was easy to see how the home had been expanded over time, since the additions were clearly visible. Leaving the Jost house, we walked southeast along Charlotte Street. Along the way, we passed by the Cosset House Museum, which is one of the oldest houses in Sydney and connects directly to the colony's early Anglican history. We continued to the intersection with York Street, turned left, and walked northeast to the Eldweg Art Center. Inside, we made our way to the second upper floor for a snack stop at Café Marie. We ordered a chocolate chip cookie and an oat cake, a classic Nova Scotian treat. The snack has its roots in Scottish oatcakes and was basically a lightly sweetened oat cookie. Our total came to a bit over $6 Canadian, or about $4.50 US. Although we only stopped for a quick cookie snack, Café Marie had a full menu of sandwiches, soups, salads, and other food items available. They also had a selection of coffees, teas, and other drinks. It's worth noting that the Eldweg Arts Center building had restrooms available, as well as free public Wi-Fi, with information clearly posted. We exited the Arts Center on the southeast side of the building and crossed the street to Island Folk Cider House, a locally owned craft cidery known for using 100% Nova Scotia apples. We sat at a table and ordered a couple of old-school bottled sodas, some semi-local chips that were manufactured in nearby Hartland, New Brunswick, which is home to the longest covered bridge in the world, and a 4-glass flight of Island Folk ciders. The flight included Good Company, the cider house's flagship flavor; Jello Tree, a strawberry lime cider with a fun, nostalgic flavor; Lemon Squeezy, a lemon-forward, refreshing cider; and Rebel Rose, made with locally sourced cranberries added for a blush-style cider. The total for our sodas, chips, and flight of cider was about $32.50 Canadian, or just under $24 US. The cider house had picnic tables with shade umbrellas available outside. It was a nice option for guests who wanted to enjoy their drinks outdoors. Leaving the cider house, we walked southwest along Nepean Street to the Anglican Church of St. George at the intersection with Charlotte Street. The church is a major Sydney landmark built between 1785 and 1791 and is recognized as the oldest building in Sydney and the oldest Anglican church in Cape Breton. At the intersection with Charlotte Street, we turned left and walked southeast to the intersection with Dorchester Street. Across the street, we saw the former Bank of Montreal building, which was completed in 1901. The building more recently served as a museum and community heritage site operated by the Old Sydney Society. Continuing south along Charlotte Street, we stopped at No Quarter Deli and Market, a downtown sandwich shop that markets itself as one of the go-to deli stops in Sydney. We ordered a monster grilled cheese for just over $8 Canadian, or about $6 US. The sandwich included cheddar, provolone, cream cheese, and Parmesan. And it was so good that we literally started adding cream cheese to the grilled cheese we make at home. After finishing our grilled cheese, we continued south along Charlotte Street and came across a couple of large murals. The first one featured a colorful underwater theme, and the second one featured characters from the casts of 2 original musicals that were performed at the nearby Highland Arts Theater. Continuing south along Charlotte Street, we came to the intersection with Prince Street and turned left to walk east. We continued about 2 blocks to Dr. Luke's Cafe, an independent downtown coffee house known for traditional espresso and coffee drinks. We purchased a couple of iced coffees and a latte, and our total was a bit over $17 Canadian, or just under $13 US. After our coffee stop, we backtracked west along Prince Street, then turned left to continue south on Charlotte Street. We walked a couple of blocks to the Old Triangle Irish Ale House. The pub is known for its big menu, full bar, and regular live music. And while an Irish ale house might feel a little out of place in a relatively small Canadian city like Sydney, Cape Breton is often promoted as the Celtic heart of North America. That tagline comes from the generations of Scottish and other British Isles immigration that shaped the area, which helps explain why the Old Triangle fits right in. We got a table and shared an order of poutine, deep-fried pepperoni, which was described as a Nova Scotia favorite, and a Guinness gingerbread, which was described as a traditional dessert, served warm with Irish whiskey caramel sauce and cream. The total for our 3 snacks was $39 Canadian, or roughly $28.50 US. Leaving the pub, we backtracked a bit along Charlotte Street, then turned left to head west along Wentworth Street toward the waterfront. A large Sydney block letter display was located on the waterfront boardwalk, which made for a great photo op, especially with a view of our cruise ship in the distance. From the display, we followed the boardwalk back toward the cruise terminal area. Along the way, we saw signage for the Downtown Sydney Art Walk, which was a self-guided walking tour of downtown Sydney's art and culture installations. The tour could be accessed by scanning a QR code. Farther along the boardwalk, and just before we reached the cruise terminal area, we came to a small inlet that had a few waterfront kiosks, including food options and water sports operators. Public restrooms were also available in the area. Nearby, we also stopped at the Merchant Mariner Monument, a bronze monument on the waterfront that honors Canada's merchant mariners, especially those who were lost while serving in wartime. Leaving the monument, we walked back to the cruise terminal area and our ship. Overall, we spent roughly 5 hours exploring the port and nearby downtown area with a mix of history, local snacks, and waterfront views. We're hoping to return to Sydney again someday soon, so if you have any favorite places to walk, historic spots to see, or local food we should try, let us know in the comments below.